All right, so you have your agar plates. We made these in the previous video. We used no Tech, which means that we poured agar into these petri dishes, and we sterilized each dish at 15 psi for 15 to 20 minutes. And now we're getting ready to transfer from these plates that I've transferred from a wild oyster mushroom I found out in the woods. And this will be the third transfer, meaning that when we transfer from this plate to this plate, it will go from T2 and it'll become T3. So the more that you transfer, the cleaner your sample goes, especially when you're transferring from a mushroom you find outside. It's almost impossible not to have contamination. I also have these liquid culture syringes that I've made with some lion's mane and shiitake mushrooms. And all that is mycelium that's been added to sterilized water and nutrients, and so I have some liquid culture. And in that's a little bit more advanced on how to make these, but maybe in a future video I can do some of that. But I was going to show how to transfer from these liquid culture syringes and then from these agar plates to make a future transfer. So some tools you'll need is an X-Acto knife. I have only ever used an X-Acto knife, and I've used a leather punch. But I just really like using just the X-Acto knife, and I was thinking today I might try this nail trim setter. So basically you would press this down into the plate and come away with a small piece of mycelium, push the handle forward, and you will be able to use your X-Acto knife to pick a nice little pretty circle of mycelium off of the nail trim setter and put it into the new dish. So you'll want to do this inside of a still air box, which I'm not sure if I've talked about yet, which is just a plastic tote with 2 armholes cut in. You don't need to make it fancy. If anything, I would suggest not making it fancy. What I do before I get started is I fill this whole room with disinfectant spray, and I kind of let it settle for 20 to 30 minutes. It kind of keeps the air clean. And a few minutes ago, I actually cleaned the inside of this thing with bleach. But I'm probably going to go ahead and start all over with that. Clean the inside of this with bleach, wait a few minutes, let that dry. Because if you use alcohol inside of this after you have it filled with bleach, you're going to get gas that comes back out of these holes into your face, and nobody wants that because it's chloroform gas. So anyways, in part 2 of the video, we will switch from this, which is mostly talking about what you need. The only other thing I forgot to mention is a blowtorch. You will need a blowtorch. I suggest using that instead of trying to do it with a lighter, just because it'll make it go quite a bit faster. So anyways, I will follow this up with part 2 when I'm done cleaning the inside of my still air box, and we will move on to making transfers. See you in the next one. The reason I have not been talking is because I face my air holes, or the armholes, and I did not want to blow in during the transfer. So I have on my left, in this left plate, I have 1 drop of that liquid culture. On the right, I have 1 small transfer of a piece of mycelium. There's so much condensation in here they're hard to see. Let's see. That is 1 small little transfer from the other plate. So what I'd like to show now is just how I wrap these. Okay, so we just made 2 transfers inside of our still air box, and by that I mean we worked inside of here, and I took a small tissue or a small mycelium sample from the leading edge of my T2 transfer of my oyster mycelium, and I transferred it to here. Move it over to the light, and there's a very small little piece of mycelium that we transferred over here using a sterilized blade. If you haven't seen my video on sterilizing the equipment, but there's a lot of condensation in here. If you remember from the previous videos, we made these using the no pour tech, so all of these got pressure cooked, and it's hard not to get condensation when you do that. This other petri dish we inoculated with 1 drop of liquid culture. So if you have a liquid culture syringe, all it takes is a drop, and we will see what these look like later. And lastly, I wanted to show how I wrap these. You know, if you look at the guys that really know what they're doing online, they use parafilm, which is like medical tape, and that gives a really nice look. Now, you can also use saran wrap. I personally hate saran wrap because I never can get my agar plates to look very good. So basically what you're wanting to do is wrap around this edge, oops, this edge that opens up. So you can cut saran wrap in 1-inch blocks, so they would look like about this size when you're done. Now this is actually grafting tape. It's way cheaper than parafilm, and I think it does a great job, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it so you can see what that looks like. So basically I started at an edge and then pull and just wrap it around. I'm trying to look at it in the video to see how it looks for the viewer and messed it up, so we'll start all over. So just pull and wrap it around that edge. You can go over it more than 1 time if you like. This grafting tape is super cheap, so you just want to seal that gap up. And that's all it is. And then I just pull it until it's tight enough that it'll rip on its own, and then you can cut it off with a pair of scissors or just leave it. It's not going to hurt anything. So there's a wrapped plate. Ugly wrap, but wrap nonetheless. So you should be able to pick it up right from the lid, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it again. I don't like that wrap. It's hard making these YouTube videos. I have a lot more respect for the people that do it now that I know how challenging it is just to do some of these little basic tasks that you do all the time, and seeing how hard it is to do it with trying to prop a phone up. But anyways, this time it was wrapped properly. So see, I can hold it by the edges of the lid and the bottom doesn't come out. That's what you want with the wrap. So thanks for watching. Hope someone found some help from it.